Management and Communications at university. I'm here today with Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
We are going to talk to you today about our tasks. We are having a web conference to discuss our task for digital information for business. First of all, we're going to start with task 1. Task 1, we were asked to produce a how-to guide for new employees. I'm just going to, for an example, usually easier to show examples, show you my how-to guide. Lisa, can you just let me know whether you can see it or not? Just bear with me a second. Alright, can you see that, Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my how-to guide. As you can see, I used Word. The reason for using Word is because it's easy to use. I'm familiar with it, so I'm able to change the fonts. I'm able to put a covering sheet in front, number my pages, headers and footers. I'm able to put all of that information into the system. It's fairly easy because, excuse me, because I know how to use it. The disadvantages of it, obviously, it's difficult to put. It's difficult to make it look fancy. For example, like putting tables in or diagrams. Sometimes putting pictures in and stuff like that can be a little bit more difficult. How did you find it, Lisa?
Again, for my how-to guide, I did use Word. I felt like it was easier to use Word because there wasn't any limitations on the amount of words you can use. Like sometimes with Publisher, you have certain boxes that you need to obviously put the words in, and if you go over that, it can start to look a bit funny, and you'd have to change it all up. So that's why I find Word useful, because you can put all the information that you feel necessary in there, which is what I did. I could add pictures if I felt necessary. I didn't. I didn't add any pictures, but I knew I had the option there. And also, obviously, there's the different fonts and colours that you can use. The disadvantage is that with my how-to guide using Word, it was very wordy, so I feel like it could look a bit overwhelming and unappealing for people to look at. Obviously, with there not being much space, I didn't have a cover page like yourself or a header or footer or logo. I literally just had it as words with no pictures, but I felt like all the information that I felt necessary was in there.
Okay, so maybe next time, using a different software such as Publisher might be easier to introduce photos or pictures and easier to put into the system.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we move on to task 2, this what we were asked to put together a presentation and to present a presentation for our company using. Sorry, we were asked to put together a presentation and looking at the different social medias that we use.
Yeah.
Again, for this, I'm going to share my screen with you, just so I can show you my presentation. Are you able to see this?
I can't see anything at the moment. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for my presentation, I used PowerPoint. The reason for PowerPoint is it's, again, it's what I know. It's kind of not out of my comfort zone. I kind of know it. It's very easy to use. You can easily add, you can use different, obviously, you can set up your pages how you wish to set them up. There's different styles that you can use, and it's easy to insert new pages. For my presentation, I did keep it pretty simple. I tried not to put too many words into one slide. I tried to make sure my fonts were at the right size so it wouldn't distract people or it wouldn't be too much information. I could have, as you can see, this is my pros and my cons. I could have maybe used 2 different pages for these. put my pros on one page and my cons on another, but I felt like I didn't want too many slides. So this presentation in total was 8 slides. Just a very easy application to use, and you can pretty much do with it as you please. Lisa, how did you get on with this one?
Yeah, again, I used PowerPoint for mine. I think one of the advantages of having PowerPoint is that you can have as many slides as you do need to get all the information on there. I like the fact that obviously you can hyperlink the pictures, because sometimes it's easier to demonstrate something by clicking on it than to stand there trying to explain, which can become a bit boring. Disadvantage is that the points do need to be kept clear. If obviously there's too many words or too big a paragraph, it can look uninteresting for people to read and see. Other than that, I feel like that PowerPoint, I got all the facts in that the social media used by my workplace, have all the information on there that was easy for people to read, and there wasn't too many slides, because sometimes it can sort of put people off and it can look a bit boring if there are too many slides.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay then, shall we move on to task 3?
Yeah, so task 3, which was the Excel spreadsheets we had to download for the secondary schools.
Yeah.
So I felt that Excel, not really familiar with it. You do obviously need to know the equations and the functions for you to get the specific information that you're after. But I feel like once you do have those equations or functions, then it's really good at getting that information for you, and you can update it at any time.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. We actually use Excel, our company, the company that I work for, we use Excel all the time. Excel spreadsheets, we live by them. Very familiar with this. Very, for me, easy to use. Obviously, when you know the equations, when you know what you need to get out of it, it's very easy to use. Also, we used OneNote for this, so it automatically saves, which is a massive bonus when you're using Excel spreadsheets, because sometimes you forget to save, or you've edited something and not pressed the save button, or somebody else is in the spreadsheet. So it's really handy that we used OneNote for that. Obviously, for equations and to get data, things like that, you wouldn't want to use Word, just because it wouldn't collate the information that you need. Wouldn't, if you need names, you need to know how many there are. It's very difficult to do that in Word. So it does save a lot of time using Excel.
Yeah.
Application for equations and data.
And it does look very professional as well.
It does indeed, yes. Moving on then to task 4. This was the proofreading. I do have an example of this. I'm just going to show you mine. So hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. Just 1 second. Are you able to see?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so this was my proofreading report. The task was, obviously, we were given a report. We was given instructions on a report, and we had to change it up, pretty much. This is what I've done, and obviously somebody's proofread mine and added the comments. This is done in Word. Obviously, I didn't know how to use track changes in Word before, so that's definitely new to me. Obviously, once you get used to it, it's easy to use. Very, very helpful in these sort of circumstances when you need to edit something, or you need to give somebody a little bit of direction. Massive advantage, for reports and businesses. It really helps businesses, especially when, for instance, you had a new starter. You'd ask them to put together a report, and it can help with training issues too.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts on this one, Lisa?
Yeah, once you got the hang of it, things like find and replace were simple, and the comments were clearly visible. When we had to proofread each other's work, we obviously both left comments on each other's work, and we could both see those perfectly fine. So yeah, that was good. Obviously, you need to make sure that you've got the track changes on, because didn't we have an issue with yours?
Yes, I did. The first time that I did it, I didn't click track changes, and I changed everything, but nothing was tracked, so nobody could tell what I'd changed. So yes, once you know how to use it, it's a lot easier to use.
Definitely.
Okay, so our next task was to collaborate with some members of the team. Obviously, for this, we decided to use Dropbox in the end. I'm very familiar with Dropbox because I use it in business. Very easy to use. You can just upload your files, and you can share your folder with the people that you want to share them with using an email address. You can easily upload the files from your computer. You can do this. Anybody can use Dropbox. It's a free account. Anybody can download it. Obviously, you do need internet connection. That is massively important. If you don't have internet connection, it's not so good. You're not able to get it. But you can, with this benefit, you're able to collaborate with people worldwide, not just here in. You don't have to be sat next to each other to work together.
Yeah.
It's a very good application. Obviously, to start with, we did use, we tried to use Google Drive, Google Docs,
Yeah.
which was very difficult to use. We couldn't get to grips with it all, so we just found Dropbox was easier for us. What do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, that was actually the first time I'd used Dropbox to obviously collaborate all of our work. I found it very useful. All the information was there, easy to see everyone's different tasks. Every time that someone had left a comment on there, we would each receive a notification letting us know. So yeah, it was very good and simple to use.
And the best thing about it, obviously, you can use it on your any smart device, mobile phone, iPads, computers, laptops. It can be used on any sort of phone, and obviously anybody that's got internet connection, which obviously that's the way the world's going nowadays.
Certainly.
And what about task 6 then? Do you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, so task 6, which was to use Outlook or Link to communicate with two colleagues by email or instant message to agree and book a time to hold a web conference. So we actually used Outlook for this one to hold this web conference. It's handy because obviously we just emailed each other and it was set up a meeting for it. You was able to respond whether you was able to join or not. Again, it can go into your calendar, so it's quite handy, and Outlook's fairly easy to use.
Yes, I do agree. We were able to create an event and invite people to it quite easily. People were then able to decline, accept, or say, actually, can we rearrange? I'm busy at this time. It was a lot easier to use. It's a lot easy. I'm making no sense, but it's easy for us all to use.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's easy for us to communicate via email from that. Obviously, we could have used something like Google Calendar, where we can create an event, invite people, and you can accept, and you can do exactly the same as Outlook. Outlook we obviously used because it was for college, and we all had each other's email addresses.
Yeah.
And finally, we move on to task 7. Do you want to start on this one, or do you want me?
Don't mind. So task 7 is obviously using an appropriate application to hold and record a web conference, which we are doing now, obviously on Google Hangouts. After having issues the first few times we've attempted, we're hopefully here now doing it. We've also attempted Skype, which was a bit more difficult to use, wasn't it?
Yes, we did. So we did start off with Skype. we had many problems, such as we did start as a team of 3. We had somebody that was unable to get onto Skype. That was our first teething problem. We then had a problem with volume, so nobody could hear us. Like there was one person that couldn't hear, or one person that couldn't speak. It was a nightmare. Also with Skype, to record, we needed to download an extra application. Obviously, using Google Hangouts, it's live on air. It goes straight onto YouTube. You literally press the button, invite, and you're done pretty much. However, this is our second round, so fingers crossed this has worked. You do have to press broadcast, so fingers crossed this has worked. But we found this is the best. This is the best program to use for this sort of web conference. Obviously, the advantages of it is it can be again used worldwide. It's fairly easy to use once you know how to use it. There are many disadvantages, Lisa.
Well, we had a few issues, didn't we? You need to know what to obviously go onto Google Hangouts on air to ensure that it is being recorded and going onto YouTube so that we can broadcast it. We didn't initially know that, did we? Also, I had an issue with my laptop for some reason. Luckily, an advantage for Google Hangouts is that it's an app, so I've got it on my phone. So I'm doing it through my phone as opposed to my laptop now. So obviously that was handy to have that there.
So again, you can use Hangouts not just on laptops. I'm currently on my laptop. You're on your mobile phone, so again, you can use this on smart devices.
Yeah.
So brilliant applications. Obviously, it does depend on internet connection. I think I have mentioned that already, but you do need a good internet connection. I think we've been lucky enough tonight to be connected to the internet quite. Well, I believe it's been okay. I don't think we've had many teething problems with the internet. But yes, it is all dependent on the internet. And obviously it does help with businesses that are international, especially international businesses. But then obviously you do need to look into time zones and all those sort of things. Anything else you'd like to add, Lisa?
No, I think that's about it really. Obviously our internet connection's been pretty good now. I think earlier on ago when we tried, we did have a bit of a issue with our internet, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Luckily this one's been perfectly fine, so hopefully it's all worked.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for your time today, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.